Today, we're diving into a message from Pastor Alex Smith that speaks directly to those who feel like they don't belong. The misfits, the outsiders, the overlooked. From the energy of DragonCon in downtown Atlanta to the quiet struggles of daily life, Alex reminds us that many people long for a place where they are seen, valued, and loved. In this sermon, he challenges us as the church to ask, are we creating space for misfits? Are we reflecting the heart of Jesus, the one who came to bind up the brokenhearted, to comfort the grieving, and to give hope to those the world rejects? This is more than a message about acceptance. It's a call to action, to make the world a better place, to find the beauty in others, and to love like Christ. Join us now as we listen to Pastor Alex Smith share, God Help the Misfits.
Good morning, everybody. I'm just a little bit weird, understandable, because I have spent the past 3 days in downtown Atlanta, either with my niece, having a great time, with Alice, with my friends, because Atlanta and Labor Day weekend is DragonCon. Are we going to get the slides? Yay, there they are. So I've titled this, God Help the Misfits. And we'll get into a little bit about why Misfits, I think, is a great name and something that isn't often thought about. Let's see if this works. It does work. Okay. So, again, why am I like this? DragonCon in downtown Atlanta. If you're not familiar with it, it's a giant nerd convention. And we've been having a great time. Last year there's about 72,000 people. This year it looks like we may actually exceed that. But it's a fun time to let go of the day-to-day, of the normalcy of life, of the routine, and just be a little bit weird. So, DragonCon, I know it's a little bit small to see, but it's for geeks, nerds, dorks, pretty much anybody else, however you identify with liking entertainment. Podcasts, movies, TV shows, books, you name it, it's there. There are people of profound faith there, as I learned last year when I went around interviewing people about how their faith influences the entertainment and the media that they consume. There are also people who are profoundly hurt by faith and religion. One of the shirts that I actually saw yesterday, the gentleman it said, proudly God free. There's a lot of people there who have been very profoundly hurt. But it's literature, books, video games, movies, TV shows, podcasts, you name it. If it's entertainment, it's there. What isn't there, though, is faith. They call them tracks, which is basically groups of themes. So they have a science track where they have panels about all kinds of different science things. They have American literature tracks. They have British literature tracks. They have Hollywood movie tracks. They have indie film movie tracks. They've got all of these literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different panels, different events, different things. I don't think I saw a single one on faith. Not a single one. And up until a couple years ago, there wasn't even a single booth that was faith-based there. Very little faith. But why is that? There are people of profound faith there. There are 72,000 people. I know for a fact that there's chaplains there. There's ministers there. There are people from all over the world, and many of them are faith or have faith. but there's almost nothing there at Dragon Con about faith. Is this not working? I guess I'm not working. And one of the reasons that there is almost no faith there is because, unfortunately, many of the people who are there have been hurt by faith and hurt by religion. So I entitled this God Help the Misfits, which is based on a song from Hunchback of Notre Dame, where Esmeralda sings in a church, God Help the Outcasts. That just switched. Sorry. I, I just picked up something on the speaker. But it's called God Help the Outcasts, and it was from Esmeralda, who is a gypsy or a Romani, and she was singing from a place of profound hurt for her people who were profoundly hurt by the culture of the time. Quasimodo ends up finding love and family with this group of outcasts. Misfits. Did any of you grow up with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? The claymation version? The aisle of misfit toys. I always loved them. In some cases, because I liked those toys better than the not misfit toys. I thought they were beautiful and I loved their originality and uniqueness. But something that they have in common, whether it's outcasts or misfits, is they don't fit in. And many of the people at Dragon Con feel like they don't fit in. They feel like they've been hurt by the dominant culture. They feel like they don't connect with people in the dominant culture. And Dragon Con is a place where they can go and be safe. Many of them actually talk about that quite openly. They say, I've waited all year to come to Dragon Con because this is where I feel safe. This is where my people are. This is where I feel loved and accepted. At a giant nerd convention that's 5 days. And if you ask yourself what the mainstream culture is that they feel rejected by, it's us. It's this. It's places like this. In America and around the world, especially in the Western Hemisphere, Christianity is, even if you don't want to say that this is a Christian nation, this is certainly a nation that has been founded deeply in Christianity. It is a driving force of our culture. It is the largest religion. And if 72,000 people are saying that they do not feel welcome in society, it is in large part because of how we, as Christians and as the church, have gone about it. So what are misfits? Misfits are often overlooked. They are invisible in society. They are misfits. They don't quite fit in. And now, traditionally, that name or that word has had a negative connotation to it. So I have the dictionary definition of a misfit, a person whose behavior or attitude sets them apart from others in an uncomfortably conspicuous way. Misfits. If somebody's called a misfit, it is not usually a good thing. There's a whole band, the Misfits. Misfits are names that we called kids who were getting into trouble. But if you look at it, it's actually quite tragic. They're misfits. They want to fit in, but they can't for one reason or another. Sometimes it is due to physical disabilities. One of the things that Dragon Con really shows is that if you can't walk on 2 feet, you are going to have a hard time. How many places in society are inaccessible if you're in a wheelchair? How many places in society are inaccessible if you are elderly and have to use a cane, or if you can't stand for very long? Physical disabilities can make you a misfit in society. Mental illness or mental conditions, whether that is learning disabilities, things like depression, even something like ADHD that makes it so that you have a hard time focusing, can make you a misfit. You're not doing well in school because you can't concentrate. There's something wrong with you. Get out of my class. I have known many, many friends who had that experience with teachers. Cultural differences. It's not always just religion, but although religion is a very big one, but I myself am an American and I grew up in Macedonia. I didn't fit in. And then when I came back from Macedonia, I felt more like a Macedonian. It means I didn't fit in America. I was a misfit. Social differences. A lot of times people are just awkward, or they don't like things that society expects them to like. They don't fit in. They are misfits. Next slide, please. Ultimately, we want to fit in. Humans are a social species. Whether you believe in evolution or creation, intelligent design, or the 6,000-year-old creation story, regardless of how you believe humans came here, humans are made to be social. We need each other. We want to fit in, but not all of us can. And when you are a person who is not able to fit in, it is physically exhausting. And they know this because they've done studies on this. Going against the group, whatever the group is, not fitting in, literally triggers a part of our brain that is responsible for telling us that we're tired. Not fitting in makes you exhausted. And in Dragon Con at Atlanta, you have 72,000 people who will tell you that they are exhausted. And Dragon Con is one of the few places that they can come and feel connected and loved and with people that understands them. Why aren't they fitting in? Next slide, please. So at the beginning, I asked, why am I like this? That was about dressing up, but if you look at it, this is not the first time that I have been weird. Not gonna lie, I am quite proudly weird. I am quite proud of being a misfit because I love it. I am a Christian. I'm a pastor. I'm also a scare actor. A lot of people don't see how that fits together. I'm a Christian. I'm a pastor. I'm a science teacher. There's a lot of people who don't think that those things fit together. I've been a refugee. I've been a missionary kid. I am an award-winning filmmaker. That happened 2 weeks ago. One of my first films won an award. I have fought wildfires. I'm a climate change educator. None of those things are connected with each other. So who are my people? Where do I fit in? I am too of the world for some Christians, and I am too Christian for some people in the world. I love science, but I'm a pastor. I'm a pastor, but I love science. So many people see these as contradictory, as things that cannot coincide. So who are my people? And I bet if you analyzed yourself, you'd come up with some contradictions yourself. So let's go back to DragonCon. Religious displays are not common because many of the people there have been hurt by religion. You have people in the LGBT community. You have people with alternative lifestyles, however you want to define that. People walking around with crazy hair, covered in tattoos, covered in piercings. People dressed up like the most ridiculous, silly characters you could possibly imagine. And then some that I couldn't even imagine until I saw it. But ultimately, DragonCon is filled with people who feel rejected. Rejected by society, rejected by mainstream culture. And like I said, DragonCon is a place for them to feel safe. It's a place safe from us in society. And that's an uncomfortable thought to sit with. Because as Christians, we pride ourselves on loving people. We pride ourselves on being open and accepting. And anybody who walks through those doors, we try to love them. And most churches would do the same. We don't like the thought that we are somehow rejecting people. But we are. The reason I did DragonCon as a theme this year, or not this year, for this service, is twofold. There are 72,000 people from all across the world, a 30-minute car ride away. How many churches are showing up to hand out water on a hot day? How many ministries are there trying to tell people that God loves them without any expectations, without trying to convert them, without any sort of strings attached? Simply, God loves you. Part of the reason that there are so few religious displays at DragonCon is because the Atlanta churches aren't putting them there. Is it any wonder that many of these people feel like they're rejected? Trinity Baptist Church is there in multiple ways. Maddie's been walking around, giving out her books, having a great time. I guarantee you that everybody that Maddie runs into knows that she loves them, even if they don't know her very well, because she's a loving person and she puts that out to people. I congratulate myself and pat myself on the back, but Trinity Baptist Church is doing a pretty good job, given our small congregation, of loving these people. Most other churches in Atlanta are not. If religious displays are not common and Christian signs and Jesus himself are not commonly seen at DragonCon or any other event, it's because Christians are not putting them there. And in many cases, it's because Christians don't want to be there. They don't see these people as people that God really cares about because they are LGBT. They are alternative. Maybe you don't like, or maybe you think that the media that they are participating in is sinful. Well, are Christians not supposed to be reaching out to sinful people? Is that not the point? No matter how you slice it, there's no reason that the Christian presence at DragonCon isn't greater, other than we don't want to be there. So is there any doubt that they feel like we don't want them? Next slide, please, Maddie. For God so loved the world. Why don't we? Why are we struggling with this? God died for them. So where are we? The Superman movie that just came out a few weeks ago, or I guess a couple months ago now, had a beautiful scene in it where Lois Lane is talking to Superman, and they start the conversation with talking about punk rock. Punk rock being seen as a very edgy, countercultural genre of music. And they get into conversations of how they relate to other people. And Lois confides in Superman and she says, I don't trust people. I don't like people. But you, talking to Superman, you try to always find the beauty in everybody. And then Superman goes, I guess that's pretty punk rock too. Finding the love and the beauty in people is seen as edgy and countercultural. Jesus told us that 2,000 years ago. And in 2025, Hollywood, or parts of Hollywood, are starting to get it. But somewhere along the way, this ancient information that we have had for over 2,000 years, we've lost. How many Christians try to find the beauty in everyone? I fail at that quite often, but I'm going to start paying a lot more attention to it. That screen is too small and I cannot read it. But I put up the text today, the parts of this text. And remember, if you recognize that text, Isaiah 6 is the passage that Isaiah 61, is the passage that Jesus quoted at the beginning of his ministry when he wanted to announce to the world who he was and what he was doing. He quoted Isaiah 61. So it must be pretty important. And ultimately what it is a roadmap. And if you notice while I was reading, there's a lot about caring for people. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to comfort all who mourn, and provide for those who grieve, to bestow joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. Being a misfit, like I said, is exhausting. It's also isolating, and it can be quite depressing. And on the right side is what will happen when we do these things. And you will be called priests of the Lord. You will be named ministers of our God. Their descendants will be known among the nations and their offspring among the peoples. All who see them will acknowledge that they are a people the Lord has blessed. For as the soil makes the sprout come up, and a garden causes seeds to grow, so the sovereign Lord will make righteousness and praise spring up before all nations. That is God's plan for us, for the whole world to recognize. You will be called priests of the Lord. You will be named ministers of our God. Their descendants will be known among the nations, and all who see them will acknowledge that they are people the Lord has blessed. In Isaiah 61, in the original context, I was talking about the Jewish people. Jesus expands that to everyone. All who see them will acknowledge that they are a people the Lord has blessed. But that column on the right side will only happen when we bind up the brokenhearted. The sovereign Lord will make righteousness and praise spring up before all nations after we comfort you. You will be called priests of the Lord. You will be called ministers of our God after we bestow on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. We will never be known truly as a blessed people of God until we love others and do a better job of showing it, until we bind up the brokenhearted. Maddie? Luke 4 is where Jesus quotes Isaiah 61, if you're interested in that. But Luke 4 and Isaiah 61 and Jesus, following them requires us to actively look for the people society leaves behind. It requires us to actively love people who we think are weird. It talks about loving your enemies and blessing those who curse you, and sometimes that's easier than loving the people that we just don't like. Jesus requires us to actively accept people who are different from us. And he requires us to actively create a space for the misfits, the people that do not feel seen and a part of society. We have to create a space for them to belong. It's not complicated. Although I'm standing up here and laying out this case, it's not a complicated case. But it's sometimes the hardest thing to do, because as Christians, our job is to look for the people that society does not see. The people that feel invisible, in many cases, the people who are invisible. It's hard to find those people. In some cases, they actively don't want to be found. But until we bind up the brokenhearted, until we comfort those who mourn, God's kingdom isn't going to happen. Next. This is a message that Pastor Cy repeated in several of his sermons. Does our faith move us to make the world a better place? Now, of course, we want to say yes, that is the correct answer. But does it? Are the people around you blessed because you are around them? Is the world that you interact with improved by your presence? If not, there's a fantastic prayer that you can pray. And it is simple. Help me to make the world a better place. I don't always remember to do it, but that is a simple prayer that we can pray every day as soon as our feet hit the ground. Please help me to make my world a better place today. Please help me to see people who I wouldn't see. Please help me to pay attention to who needs help. And I've prayed this before, and sometimes I regret it. It's like praying for patience, because if you pray for patience, God's going to give you a situation where you're going to need patience. But I've prayed this before. Please use me today to improve somebody's life. Sometimes I've regretted that prayer because God used me in ways that I didn't think he would. Does our faith move us to make the world a better place? Maddie? And if you ever doubt that the Bible is consistent throughout, Micah 6:8, he has shown you, a mortal, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you? To do justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. That's my favorite Bible verse. But there's that pesky word again, justice. Some translations say to do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly. And then on the right side, we have 1 Corinthians 9:22. I have become all things to all people so that by all possible means I might save some. I dress up in a hot, itchy, unwieldy, kind of noisy outfit. And I go to a convention filled with 72,000 people, some of which I do not like, and I do not like some of the genres that are there, and I do not like how some of the people are dressed, and I do not like some of the behavior. And that's life. That's human. But I go there dressed silly, in part to have fun, and in part to be a presence there and to make sure that they know that I love them. Maddie? Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Misfits are poor in spirit because humans want to fit in, and misfits, by definition, struggle with that. But what misfit can you make room for today? I wanted to give some examples. I work in Netherworld, a place that many people do not expect to find a Christian. And yet, what better place for Christians to be? There's a group called Fans for Christ that is finally setting up a table at DragonCon and trying to witness to people and reach out to people. But if you are perhaps a teacher or a nurse, there's misfits at your school. There are people with disabilities. There are people struggling with their faith. There are families who don't have time for church, or families whose children are sick and can't make it to church. There's people going through a political identity crisis right now, and there are people who just don't feel like they fit in. Misfits. They're all around us. They are us. And it's so easy to say, but it's much harder to do. Look for the people who don't fit in and make sure that they feel accepted. Maddie? Yeah, okay, that was the last. Who is God calling you to Who is God calling you to make a space for today? I guarantee you there's somebody. On your way home, go into the store, go into a restaurant, there's somebody there who does not feel like they are loved. And if you ask God to help you to see them, He's going to show them to you. Are you ready to make the space for the people who don't fit in?